Hello, welcome to the video. So I'm going to talk about who could have been most likely the first pope, who's the actual real first pope. First, we need to know who was the last emperor who was calling his shots in doctrine. It all started with Julius Caesar. He was the first Pontiff Maximus. He was the one calling the shots of doctrine. And that was all the way through the 4th, 5th centuries until the very last person, the very last emperor, was Justinian the First. He was the last one to call the shots when it came to doctrine. And that's a strong indication that the state had control the whole time. So it wasn't until the church invented the popes they could pull away from or withdraw from the state, so they have that power within the church. Before that, the church and state were heavily merged together, especially in the 4th century with Constantine and Eusebius. So anyway, so he was the last one, Pontiff Maximus, had control over doctrine. This is from 527 to 565. So just using logic, that suggests that sometime in the period when the first pope was invented, okay, 527, 565. So looking at that time frame, so we see this here. This is the first pope not to use his personal name. As you can imagine, when the church creates such a position, they're going to get resistance from the state to control power. So that's why they would change the name. They would not use their personal name. And so that way they can't look up their records and, you know, keep track where they live and all that. And of course they have a Vatican. And that raises a question. Okay, that was Vatican in 1929. So anyway, that suggests that during that time, they had to move them around. So if there was resistance from the state. So it makes sense, just logically, that John II would have been the first pope. And of course, they're going to try to make it look like it was this way the whole time. They have a John I here. Which could not have been a pope at the time because, again, Justinian was still calling the shot during his time. He was the last emperor. So that was before his time. So he could not have been a pope. Okay? Now, they obviously would do name of John first to make it appear more legitimate that they were the history. And then they create this history making it look like all the way back to Peter, there's a pope. But one thing is certain, Peter was never a pope. And problem is, once a person believes that Peter the pope, they just end up molding the scripture around that idea. And it's a presupposition, and you just end up molding scripture around that idea. So you have to just let go of it. Just let the scripture start from scratch. Let the scripture do the talking, and really think through the author's intent. Then you begin to realize, oh my gosh, the passages do not support the pope at all. So anyway, so there's a very good chance that this was the actual first pope. He's the first one not to use his personal name. And so he went with the name of John II. And so his personal name was Mercurius. Okay. So that was definitely within the time frame of Justinian. And yeah, died less than a month after the election. Okay. Sure. But yeah, if you go back, this is all rewritten history here. All right, this is absolute rewritten history giving just picking a name and giving that person the title of pope. It's interesting is you have Eusebius. Where is he here? Eusebius. He was only a pope for just over a year, even though he died in exile. According to Catholic records, it was the bishop Eusebius, the one that I have a lot of videos on. He wrote history, but he died much later. So this could be referring to, according to this source, this could be different Eusebius. So it doesn't match the Catholic record. Yeah, so anyway, there's a discrepancy there. And discrepancy alone should raise the red flag to you. But yeah, the point being is, in all likelihood, this person here, probably the first pope. It's really hard to say. This person definitely cannot be, because this was before Justinian time. It doesn't make sense to have a pope and the emperor still calling the shots. If the church has a pope and the pope is calling the shots of doctrine, that eliminates the emperor from being able to decide anything pertaining to doctrine. That would just completely remove them. So it cannot be St. John. Yeah, it really looks like this is the first pope right here. His name was Mercurius. And just trying to use logic here, it makes sense. It's the first one not to use a personal name. That's logically, if you're the first pope and you're withdrawing or pulling away from the state, you're not going to use your personal name due to opposition from the state. So my guess, again, it's really hard to piece this together, but this was the first pope, Mercurius. He'd been called John II. Yeah. So yeah, love to hear your thoughts on it. If you think it's somebody else, explain why. I'd love to hear it. So thank you, and you have an awesome day.